everyone, I'm Ione and I'm the founder of Uplifting Content. And I made a promise that I would start bringing you more Facebook Lives. And today I am really excited to bring to you a guest. His name is Daniel Alley. I first discovered him because I saw his really fantastic TED Talk. It's How to Become a Millionaire in 3 Years. And the reason I wanted to have him on this talk is so that he could share some of his secrets to success with you. He is a business coach, an entrepreneur, and an author. And I'm just really happy to have you here. So first of all, thank you for your time, Daniel.
Thank you so much, Ione. It's good to see you.
Yeah, thank you. So what I'd love you to do is just start by introducing yourself and telling us a little bit about yourself, please.
My name is Daniel Alley, of course, and I am the founder of The Alleyway, which is a marketing consulting firm. And basically, my journey started when I was in college. I came to the point that when I was going to school, there were things that I didn't know that I didn't know. I saw kids graduating. They had no plans. Some of them had no ambition. And quite frankly, they were graduating with college tuition bills higher than their salaries. And I thought to myself, this is a disaster. We have to do something about this. We have to make changes. And we need to learn the truth about success because, you know, our professors, they yield around this heavy textbook telling us that we have to read this and that and do these assignments. And I realized that that is not the secret to getting where you want to be. And there's so many math classes, so many English classes, but I didn't even learn the essentials of becoming who you are, which is ultimately the definition of success. So I went on this path to not only start writing books and speaking to many people, but actually becoming rich in my 20s so that I can help other people in my community. I grew up very poor in New York, and I was born homeless, first of all, grew up on welfare. And I was bullied as a kid. I went through drugs as a teenager, worked over 40 different jobs. And I thought that the greatest way to give back to people is to become successful, to actually do something worthwhile with your life so that not only you can give money, but give wisdom and knowledge and truth and structure to people who are looking to become who they are, right? So that's where I started. I can hear her.
Sorry about that. I muted it because there's a lot of noise happening in the background and then I forgot to unmute it. Let's stop with that. One of the reasons that I was really excited about talking to you, which we discussed before, was I feel like you said, in education, people aren't taught about finance and business and how to be successful and how to invest and how to make money. It's all about getting a job. And so that's why I was really happy to speak to you, because one of the first books that I read about business was Rich Dad, Poor Dad by Robert Kiyosaki. Yeah. It was the first time that I ever learned about how to make money work for me. And for anybody that doesn't know about that book, who wants to get better with money, I strongly recommend you read it. He talks about how his father, who was a teacher, did the conventional thing, had a regular job, always worked for money. And then his friend's father, who was an entrepreneur, a businessman, invested. He made his money work for him. And that blew my mind because I'd never heard about that before. So, yeah, I would love to hear your thoughts on that, and because I'm guessing that's the type of thing that you teach.
Of course. Mm-hmm. So, Rich Dad, Poor Dad was one of the first books that I read. It was instrumental because you just don't see books like that. I've written some of my own books in that realm because, like I said, finances, we need to know so much more about it. Simple things like checking our bank account every single day. People are afraid. I remember the days I was afraid of checking my bank balance. I was afraid to see that it was, a couple hundred, even like dozens of dollars, even negative bank balance. I was afraid, but that's the kind of thing that we had to face. And now I have so much abundance now because I've been so mindful of where my finances are and how I actually think, feel, and act toward money. What I realized is that money reacts toward our attitudes about it. And the way we feel about our finances will dictate our financial success. And so if someone thinks that they're going to be poor, or that there's some broke college student or some, old little poor lady, then that's what they're going to be. But if you think that you're a successful person that's about to be a pioneer in your industry, that you're dominating at every level, and that you're adding service to people, then you'll become rich. My philosophy with wealth is that your income is the same as your impact. Your impact leads to your income. So the more people you reach, the more money you make. The more people you help, the more blessed you'll be financially. And I always tell people, if you want to make $1 million, then you've got to learn how to make 1 million people smile. You know, you've got to give people what they want. And sometimes people don't know what they want. You just have to keep on trying. It's a testing method, trial and error. You have to, find people that can help you deliver more value to more people in less time. So your entire wealth is basically the sum total of your entire contribution to society. And everything you've done for your fellow humans will determine how much money you put in your wallet.
I love that. And I wholeheartedly agree with everything you just said there. What I really enjoyed about your TED Talk is you sort of gave some really great advice. And so I would recommend that anybody check that out. It's the Danielle Ali TED Talk on how to become a millionaire in 3 years. But what I would really like to hear from you is some tips and advice that you have for people. I mean, you went into great detail about being of service and doing things for others, which I'm all about. Do you have any other advice that would help people do how to do that?
Yeah, tons of advice. I mean, just first you got to find out who you are and what you want. You have to determine what your passions are. What are you gifted at? What do you have innately within you that other people don't have? What's your talents, your abilities, your skills? And how can you bring it to the marketplace? What's your potential? Are you toward the end of your life, or are you at the beginning of your life? Do you live in a country like America, or do you live in a poor country? All that matters, because all of us have resources either way, but what we do with those resources really matter. And so once we find out what we want and what we want to do, we have to find people who've done those things, and then we have to execute strategies that are similar to theirs until we create our own. And so, that's what I did. For instance, I wanted to learn how to speak in public, and I was nervous. I remember my first speech, I stood up, my mind sat back down, my knees were knocking, I was sweating profusely, 16 eyes penetrated my soul. I was emotionally bankrupt. But I knew that this wasn't going to be my last trial. I learned that every master was once a disaster. And if I wanted to get back up, I had to dust myself off and jump into the field. So I started studying professional speakers. I started learning from coaches. I started reading a lot of books and, articles and things like that. And it helped me to develop. I have this rule called the rule of 100, that if you do something 100 times, you become basically proficient. If you do something 1,000 times, you become an expert. So for instance, if you cook 100 times, you never cooked before, time 0 versus time 100 is going to be substantially different, right? And that's the same thing with speeches. When I gave 100 speeches, I got my first paid speech. And it was such a good feeling. It wasn't as much as I thought it would be. First of all, I wasn't even expecting to get paid. And if I was, I thought it was going to be like some astronomical check, because that's what people in my industry were talking about. But I learned that, the speech 100 was instrumental to becoming who I am. It wasn't about the number. It wasn't about the money. It was about the journey, the development, the time that it took for me to become the person who I was really called to be. Now, I've given over 1,000 speeches, and I consider myself an expert. I can go up and give a speech at ease, 60 minutes with just 2 minutes of notes and just speak off the top of the domain. And the fact is that, we have to build our proficiency. We have to find out what our crafts are. We have to master that and wholeheartedly believe that we were called to do something special. Now, one thing is that money, it plays a big factor in it. And a lot of times we won't have the money or the means to get to that level, right? But we have to be able to see the impossible. We have to be able to see what, we can't see. And our bank account might say negative $100. And, we might be trying to teach financial success. But the fact is that we have to push past it. We have to learn about our money and get our money up and change the way we think in order to get to where we want to be. So I have this saying, in order to change your reality, you have to change your mentality and the way you think about yourself and others and all the people you live around.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. It's fantastic advice, and it's amazing. The more people I speak to, it's the same messages, and because that is the only way. If you don't even believe or have the idea or know that something's even possible, first of all, then it's not going to happen. And then, to reiterate that advice, I read a quote recently, I forget it exactly, but it was, you know, do you know the percentage or how many times do people try something before they give up? And the
Yeah.
answer is like, it's like 0.1% or something, because most people don't even try. They don't even try. It's not even about trying multiple times. They don't even try. And so, yeah, that's my thing. Just decide what it is that you want, figure out what it is you want, learn, ask questions. I'm always asking questions in everything, and then constantly trying and testing and doing things over and over and over again until you get better at it. There's a really fantastic video that I watched a while ago called something called like The Gap, or something about the gap. And it's about how people who want to be creative or do something or make something, it's that point between when you really want something to being really great and getting it. Because there's a lot of crap that goes in the middle of that, you know, before, you know, when you have that idea, but to get really great, like you said, trying things 100 times, getting to 1,000 speeches before you're fantastic. A lot of people give up in that gap because they're frustrated that they're not, you know, the great, fantastic person that they want to be. And so, yeah, you've perfectly summarized that point. I love it. You also mentioned reading a lot, which I am all about, and would just encourage that to everybody. We posted a meme not too long ago about the average CEO reads, I don't know, 100 books a year, I think it is, and the average American reads one. And yeah, if you want to sort of grow and develop as a person, business, finances, any of that, reading is so important. What are you reading right now that you would recommend?
Well, I'm about to read the Bible.
Oh, yes, I noticed that. You read the Bible every day.
Yeah, this is my book right here. Bible stands for Basic Instructions Before Leaving Earth. And it's a powerful book, but I do believe that books are the tools that release the heavens of our mind. It just unlocks our potential. And I truly realized that the bigger our libraries get, the bigger our homes get. Like, I have multi-million-dollar homes around me, including my own. And you know, I started with a small, you know, level of books, just like 10 or 12. And I was living in my mom's basement, right? And I got 100, and then I was in a 3-bedroom apartment. And then, you know, I got like 1,000, and then I was living in a 5-bedroom house, and I kept going from there. So I realized that reading is the key to success. You have to read, take notes, keep a journal, and start studying and implementing the lessons that you've learned, and really just start growing. Because people always ask me, who's your mentors? My mentors are in the books. I mean, when I read something from Benjamin Franklin, or from a former billionaire, or from a past president, or anyone of notable status, I'm just ultra impressed of their work ethic, of their perseverance, of how they overcame adversity and how they dealt with certain situations. It's just such a powerful feeling to go through a book and just go through the transcendence in your mind to realize that, you know what, I too can really make it. Because, you know? Yeah.
One of my favorite autobiographies is the one it's not by Elon Musk, but it's about Elon Musk. And just reading that, the amount of times that he was told no to things, and the things that he's accomplished the impossible, things that people said would never be possible, and he ignored everything and just went and did it. And to me, that's just changed my whole perspective on anything. We're so limited by what other people say we can do or what we're capable of. And he's an example of a man that's made the impossible possible just because he believed in it and did it. So I can imagine you've got a lot of wisdom from your books that you've been reading.
There's a lot of people that are close to you that are going to tell you that you can't do it. They're going to tell you what you can't do and where you can't go and who you can't be. And, you know, the fact is that there's never been a statue of a critic. You know, I
love that.
Critics make you do it better, but haters make you do it faster. And you have to like really take in all the feedback that you get, whether it's positive or negative, and just muster it into a big ball of courage until you just become so confident that you crush all your obstacles along the way and turn them into opportunities.
Mm-hmm. Great advice. I love your story that you're living in your parents' basement at like 21 and had become a millionaire by 24. I'd love to hear sort of that's because that's a pretty short space of time. What changed? What happened in that time for you?
So I was reading a lot of books. So I had this burning desire to just make great changes in my life. I was stuck. You know, I remember I was working at a suit store named Joseph A. Bank, and basically I was like there with all these old guys. I'm looking for mentorship. I'm looking at the people that come in. I'm going to school as I'm working, and, you know, I'm looking at people at the gym, and I'm thinking to myself, this is not the kind of environment I need to be a part of. So what I did was I moved to the Washington, D.C. area from Camp Hill, Pennsylvania. Camp Hill is a very small place, like 1,000 people or so. D.C., of course, has millions. And once I moved my location, I started looking for opportunities. I started looking for rich people, places, and things. And I started actually like thinking, you know what, I can do this. I started visiting mansions every single week. I started calling millionaire mentors, every single day. And I started getting on the conversations with them. Whether the conversations were 4 minutes or 44 minutes, I remember myself brusquely taking notes, like just trying to understand as much as I can and implementing it into my own business. And so even though my business did start with public speaking, what really spun it off was when I created my Dignified Designs business, which is my marketing firm. And what we do is we publish websites and we publish books and we do social media. And I remember a lady coming up to me after one of my speeches and she said, Daniel, I really want to work with you. I really want to develop, but I don't know how to start. And I said, let me take a look at your resume. And she gave it to me the next day. And I remember me editing it and, saying, hey, this is what you got to do. Go ahead and get your job. And I remember she sent me a check of $50 and I was like, wow, that's amazing. So what happened later on is that she referred me to many other people, which ended up growing my business, and that's kind of how you have to start. If you take care of 50, you'll get, 500 and 5,000 and 50,000 and eventually 5 million. And that's what, you have to start with what you have, where you are, and what you know, and just expand that so rapidly that the universe will just take care of all your deep desires.
Yes. Thank you. Where can people find out more about you and what you do?
DanielAlly.com. So Daniel, of course, the regular spelling, Daniel Allly. So Daniel Alley, I'm so easy to find. I have a Facebook page. I have, of course, all the social medias. You'll see me on YouTube. My TED Talk has over 5 million views. I'm easy to find. So
just Google it.
Yeah, you'll see me. Put my link on the page.
Can you tell us about your books? I'm curious about your books.
Yeah. So I wrote 3 books, and I also created training programs, by the way. But my 3 books are You're the Boss, because you have the opportunity to control all the choices you make in your life. My second book is The Winner's Lifestyle, which is a composition of 66 habits that I particularly did over the past few years to get me where I'm at. And Abundance Mentality is my favorite book that I just published just a couple months ago. It's just so powerful. It's a combination of all the articles I wrote that tens of millions of people have read over the span of a couple years. It's been published in Time Magazine, Fortune, and a bunch of other notable magazines. You guys got to get my books. It's a must.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
How important do you think personal development is, like doing your types of courses, going to events, reading, like how has that been important for you? And what would you say to other people about it?
That's a good question. The secret to becoming wealthy is to pour every single dollar that you have back into yourself. Like I've spent thousands of dollars on my own, tens of thousands, of just developing myself to just, seek wisdom in every single level. When you focus on the wisdom, the wallet will come. When the mind is ready, the money will come. And if you see yourself becoming the person that you want to be, eventually the world will conspire to serve you at the highest level. If you're dedicated to people, people will be dedicated to you. And first you have to be dedicated to yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Your level of personal development will never exceed your level of personal income. So the higher your development goes, the higher your income goes. Mm-hmm. And if you want to become better, if you want to become richer in every capacity, not only just money, then you've got to understand the basics of success and really excel in everything you do.
I totally agree. And I was being quite sly because I'm going to use that as a nice little segue to our Uplifting Content Summit. So for anyone that doesn't know, we launched it about 4 days ago, and it's a free summit where you sign up and every day you get a free interview from an amazing guest speaker. We've already had Kate Marie O'Brien, Kyle Cease, who was amazing, Azria Cohen, Preston Smiles. Today it's Jenna Phillips Ballard, and tomorrow we've got Adam Sadiq. So if anyone hasn't signed up, just like Daniel was saying, like investing in yourself is so important, and this is a free investment. It's just an investment of your time. Sign up for the summit and watch them. I've been watching them and I'm just blown away, and I'm so excited to have you, Daniel. So thank you. And I'm definitely going to do more things like this because it's so valuable, just your insight and knowledge.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Cool. Well, that's it. I wanted to keep them short and sweet so people can sort of catch them on their lunch break and stuff. So thank you again. I look forward to sort of finding out more about you and definitely checking out your book. So thank you for joining us.
I appreciate it. Thank you, Ione.
My pleasure. Bye.
Take care. Bye-bye.
Mm-hmm.